you go. Yep, there's a little white minivan that I'm avoiding, and I'm going to be riding down Olette Avenue here in Windsor, Ontario. Who is this guy on the bike? It's the superpilotish channel, and let's fix this camera. Ta-da! Alright, that's a little bit better. You're going to find there's a theme in this video about fixing cameras here and there, but we'll give it a shot. Yep, like I said, we are on Olette Avenue facing north towards the city of Detroit. We're in Windsor, Ontario, coming up to the intersection of Wyandotte. That's the name of the street. And here we go. So you could kind of call this the main drag of Windsor, Ontario. This is the very first time I took my motorcycle out for the season, first ride of the season, and I figured I'd just kind of record it and let you guys see. I'll give you a little bit of a historical tour of the town, and yep, and you'll see traffic and people walking. That's fun. And then yeah, so we'll see how everything goes here. What can I tell you? There's a Scotia Bank up on the right, and yeah, so this is Park Street. If you came out of the tunnel from the United States, this is, you'd turn left and you'd be right at you'd be at this intersection. And this is Olette Avenue is it's the main drag. Did I say that already? It's the main drag of Windsor. It kind of splits the city between east and west. So if any of the streets that are that go through this other street, you know, if it's on the right, that would be such and such street east. It's on the left, it would be such and such street west. And this is University Avenue. So on the right, University Avenue East, and on the left, University Avenue West. There's a liquor store down the street on University if you come to Windsor. Hang a left, go to the LCBO. And what else can I tell you here? Okay, yeah, it was a beautiful day to go for the ride, and it was safe. I was taking it kind of easy here. I usually kind of take it easy. I don't do any really big journeys on the first ride of the season. So a little stop and go downtown. Plus, you got to be cool and you got to show off. Hey, look at that Canadian flag right at the very end of the street. And yeah, in the old days, you used to be able to go down to the end, and there was a little loop, and you'd go down by the river there. That's the Detroit River with Detroit. You might have seen that in one of my other videos before, with the Renaissance Center on the right, kind of the right of the screen. I tried to tilt up a little bit and get the Canadian flag there. It's a great big flag. Yeah, so that's the General Motors World Headquarters is in that one building across the river in the US of A. And what else? It's okay. Hey, here we go. And part of this ride here, you'll see me kind of avoiding potholes and this and that. To the left, that building, that's the Chrysler Canada headquarters. I didn't really do any big pan up or whatever you call that in fancy filmmaker lingo. But this part of the road I did in another previous video, and so but just coming the other way. And so coming up on the art gallery here on the left. With all that glass, that's the Windsor Art Gallery, and that's a bit of a rerun, I guess, for you that have seen my other videos. So, yeah, just riding along, checking things out. I don't really know a whole lot to tell you about. Hey, here's the street. There's a little park down there, but you can see the park, and then the CBC building is on the left, and you can't really see it. It's got a big lawn there. A few years ago on the CBC lawn on the left, there was a big sinkhole that developed, and because years and years and years ago, what they used to do, was like underneath Windsor. There's a great big salt mine now, and there's salt all on. If you go down deep enough, there's salt all underneath this region. So what they did on that lawn is they dug a big hole down, and they just pumped a whole bunch of water from the river into it, and then it would soak up all of the salt, and then they'd pump it back up to the surface, and now you'd have salty water, and they would dry it out, and they'd make salt out of it. And that was long time ago, even before the official Windsor salt mine started up. So that's I remember that because I don't know what year it was, but it was a while ago. And I thought, well, people really like their salt. So once again, we're going down the road here that we've been down before. And on the right, there's a park right next to the Detroit River. Up ahead, you can see the Ambassador Bridge. I waved at that guy. He didn't wave back at me. Oh well. And you can see here now, this is going to be plaguing me a little bit, is that the camera, I just kind of threw the camera in my pocket, and it's kind of moving around a little bit. Later on in the video, I'm going to have to do some editing magic because it looks pretty bad. It was all tilted and kind of like the Batman, the Batcam, where it's all tilted and goofy, and then and I was watching that, and I don't know if maybe I had too much coffee that morning or something, but I was watching it and it was kind of making me sick. So I think if someone's watching this on a big screen TV, it's okay if it looks all nice and square and the camera is facing forward properly. But yeah, later on, and you're going to see me adjusting the camera, just bear with me. So yeah, the park on the right, it's got a bunch of artwork in it. They would call that the Windsor Outdoor Sculpture Garden. You can walk along and see a bunch of weird and interesting art. Okay, so here we are coming up to the bridge. And once we get on the other side of the bridge, then that becomes the neighborhood in Windsor that's known as Sandwich Town. So the town of Sandwich was established way back in, what did they say, 1797. This was the oldest part of Windsor, actually. And we can see there's a little monument. You can't really see it, but there's a little monument on the left in that little roundabout for General Brock and Chief Tecumseh. And these guys were, here we go, the little arch is going to historic Sandwich Town. Here we go. Now we are in the West End, the best end. Yep, so this is Sandwich Street now. It changes from Riverside Drive to Sandwich Street. And yeah, it kind of comes up and curves here. On the right, we're coming up to the oldest bar in Windsor. It kind of looks like a White House right there on the right. That's the Dominion House. It's got the black and white front. It was originally on the other side of the road, and then it burned down, and then they built it on the right-hand side of the road there. That's the oldest bar in Windsor. It's not the oldest building, but the oldest establishment. The oldest, yeah, here we go. This is Mill and Sandwich, and this is basically the little downtown part of Sandwich Town. A lot of university students hang out there. It's not too far, and there's the old courthouse on the left, and the old jail is around the corner there too. This is General Brock School, and I'm going to be hanging right on Brock Street to fix my camera. I could tell when I was riding it that my camera was all I think it was looking a little bit weird. So anyways, we're going to go down here to Russell. I don't know if it's Russell Avenue or Russell Street. I think it's Russell Street. And so this is the closest road you can get to the Detroit River. It kind of follows the river for a bit. And I'll pull over and fix my camera here. Yeah, so this the land on the right, that's I think that's owned by the Windsor Port Authority. So this is kind of an industrial part of Windsor I'm going to go through. So that's where ships will be. The ships will unload their gravel and let's fix our camera here. Okay, yeah, looking good, looking good. Okay, yay, it definitely looks good. So we can go back up here. Yeah, so anything that could be offloaded from a ship, that's kind of along the right hand here. You might not totally see it. And just because I don't know why I know it, but I was interested in it, I'm going to be going by a really old tree. I'm going to point it out. It's called a Jesuit pear tree, and there's not many of them around, and nobody knows where it is. So I'm going to point it out here, the Jesuit pear tree. Right there. It's an oldie but a goodie. And so the Jesuit pears were brought to the Windsor area around the mid 1700s when it was first getting settled. And I don't know, I was thinking about getting a pear tree for my backyard, and never did get one, and it kind of won't fit. So you can see here there's oil and fuel oil and stuff, those big tanks. Like I said, it's offloaded from ships. And, here we go, up Watkins. So that was the Jesuit pear tree that I don't have. And this is on Watkins. I forget if it's Watkins Avenue or Watkins Street, but this is kind of a cool street because it's named after the first black police officer in Windsor. And I found that out because I used to deliver prescriptions over here in this neighborhood years ago, about 1991, 92. And I'm watching for traffic here, being very careful. You don't want to be in a rush on your first ride of the season. Yeah, so up here on the right was where Mrs. Watkins lived, and I would deliver her prescriptions, and it was Mrs. Watkins on Watkins. And so I asked her one day, it's like, is your name actually Watkins, or did they make a mistake at the pharmacy? And she said, oh no, it's the street's named after my son. He was the first black police officer in Windsor. And I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. She was a nice old lady, and she taught piano lessons. I think, if I remember right, it's her house here on the right, that gray one. And then, it was pretty cool because whenever I got to go to Mrs. Watkins' house, she always had a bowl of mints there, and I'd be eyeing the bowl of mints, and she would say, would you like a mint? And I would have a mint every time I went to Mrs. Watkins' house. And then I think I heard from someone that she was the organist at the Sandwich Baptist Church, this little brown old church on the right we're going by. And so right around the corner from her house, and that's a very historical church. It was, I don't know if it was started by, but it was kind of like the church where all when the blacks were kind of coming up through the Underground Railroad, to escape slavery in the south of the United States, to come up and hang out at the Sandwich Baptist Church a lot, and in Canada. So, and there's lots of stories about that church, and kind of pretty interesting if you check it all out. So here we are on Prince Road. Yeah, Prince Road. And we're going to hang a left and go back onto Sandwich Street. And I think there's a corner store on the corner here. And this is waiting for a truck. Exciting. Yeah, on the left, last I heard, that building on the left, that was I knew a guy years ago who worked there. They made molds for like castings or something like that. It was they used some funky technology using CNC and some special kind of silica, and they could kind of form these molds. Then you would pour hot metal into it, bust off the sand, and then you'd have your casting. Oh, the house on the right there, yeah, that was the house on Hill. That was Hill Avenue. I heard back in the day, that house back there, that there was an old guy. He said that the kids in the neighborhood used to go down there, and back in the 20s, when you couldn't get booze over in the States, they'd go to the house on Hill, the one right on the corner of Mill and Sandwich and Hill, and they dug out the basement in there, put in a bunch of wood, and they'd fill it up with grapes, and they'd have the kids in the neighborhood go in there and squish all the grapes with their feet, and then they'd dump boiling water in there, and they'd make wine. And they'd make wine in the basement of that house, and it would, I don't know if there was like a blind pig upstairs, that's what they called, kind of like a underground bar, but that's what I heard. They used to make wine there. Now here's an abandoned gas station, which I've already done a live stream by now from. You can see the bridge that's getting built. So that's the Gordie Howe International Bridge, and I just saw it on this ride. So my timing is out of whack with my other video that I did. That's kind of where I did my live stream. Yeah, and then I thought, wow, it looks really cool. I should do a live stream there. So this was actually the day before I did my live stream at the sort of by the foot of the Gordie Howe International Bridge. And now I'm gonna get to the speedy section. We're gonna go speedy here for a bit. Or a little bit more speedy. So that's how I like to do my ride, first ride of the season. Kind of take it slow, easy at first. Bike's all warmed up, brakes are working, everything's cool, and then we'll get out to a little bit faster, and take it on the Herb Gray Parkway, not the Herb Gray Parkway, sorry, Easy Row Expressway is where I'm going to be heading to. And if you had smell-o-vision right now, you would smell what I was smelling, because the sewage treatment plant's on the left. So it's like, yeah, it always kind of stinks around there. But I mean, they did do a good job of, here you go, you're going to find all about the sewage treatment in Windsor. It used to be open to the outside, and it used to really stink, and all the neighbors complained, so that it's kind of covered up, but that sewage smell still gets out on the west end. But around here, it's all kind of industrial. No one really lives too close to it. And yeah, so we're coming up to where, okay, this is the Essex Terminal Railway tracks I'm going over. And I'm going to go on the Easy Row Expressway. And right around here, this is going to be kind of a funny intersection. If I wanted to go straight where it's all blocked off, that's eventually going to hook up with the new bridge when the construction's all done. So this is quite a bit different than if you were here 10 years ago. This is all kind of a newer intersection, I guess. So the plan is to hang a left. We're going to go rev up the bike, of course, fix the camera, and we're going to rev it up, and we're going to go down the Easy Row Expressway, and kind of we're going to do a loop back to a street called Dougal, named after James Dougal, one of the first farmers around here in this area. And yeah, so that road, it kind of turns back into that main drag we were first on, Ouellet. It's a French name, named after Mr. Ouellet. Yeah, this was a pretty long red light. And I think I was ready to go here, but yeah, it's a pretty long light. That's interesting. That's really interesting. Okay, but that's also part of the collecting your mind and being at peace and taking your time. And then you're going to be nice and safe on your motorcycle. Oh, look at that. Oh, the truck's got freaked out there. Oh, wait, no, there's a green light. Okay. Yeah, it's. I always like to still when the light turns green, just hesitate for a little bit before you gun it. Look left and right. There might be someone blowing through the intersection. I've avoided a few accidents that way by someone blowing a red light that just turned red. And then, all right, I'm past that guy. I got pole position now. Here we go. And yeah, this part of the Easy Row Expressway is relatively new. It's in pretty good shape, nice and smooth. It What else can I tell you here? Yeah, it's pretty smooth. And I'll tell you, the Easy Road Expressway. What is that? It's named after a former president of Chrysler Canada. What was his name? Edward Charles Rowe, I think it was. And yeah, just one of the old, the former big shot at Chrysler Canada. And they named, I don't know who he paid off to get an expressway named after him. But yeah, it's a pretty handy road to have. Before they built this, when did they build that? 60s, 70s, I guess it was starting construction in the 70s, and it was a long time to go from one side of the city to the next, and so there we go. People build the roads. And where are we coming up to here? Yeah, this could be like a highway anywhere. It's like, okay, 4 lanes, on-ramp, off-ramp. And I'm not going to do any, you won't see me splitting traffic or, or burying the needle. Although, I swear, it's like I really wanted to gun it on this. It was just that the bike was riding really nice. I just wanted to hammer it. But the thing is about this bike, it's, you might have seen it in my other videos. It's a little bit older, a 1999 BMW R1100S, and it's the fastest bike I've ever ridden, and boy, it just really wants to go. I wish I could take it on the Autobahn or something and just, like, it feels like it would be comfortable at 160 kilometers an hour, like 100 miles an hour, and you could just go on the Autobahn from the bottom to the top of Germany, just 100 miles an hour. It just feels like that's kind of the sweet spot. It's the bike wants to go there. Have I gone that fast on the bike? I will not say. But I don't even know if I've gotten it that fast. I will not say. So here we go. We're gonna take the off ramp here. Yeah, this is another thing too. If you ever have a BMW motorcycle, the turn signals, if you want to turn right, it's your right thumb. If you want to turn left, it's your left thumb. It's got 2 separate turn signals on it, rather than the kind of more conventional one on the left handlebar. So that's something a little bit different. So I'm going to be turning left here. There's my left thumb. And we got the left turn signal on. We're going to be going up. This is Dougal. What was I doing there? I don't know. Adjusting the camera again, maybe? Yeah. And so now we're turning left. We're going to be going back up to heading north here. And I'm basically going to do a little loop to where I started. So far, first ride of the season. Yeah, I don't think it was right at the very end. I had a little bit of a whoops. Because you're always a little rusty on this and that. And I'm sure if everyone wants to be picky here, you could see where I was speeding or rolling a stop sign. But oh well, it's I didn't feel like if you want to send me a ticket, Windsor Police, go right ahead. Okay, you guys need a raise, I'll pay it. So, anyways, yeah, how's that for buttering up? Hey, there we go. I just bribed the cops, telling them to send me a ticket. But yeah, so this is Dougal. It kind of does this little turnaround, and then after this little curve to the right, curve to the left, and then we're back on Olet Avenue. Temperman's Furniture is on the right. Would you like to buy a couch? Would you like to buy an appliance? I bought, I think, what did I get there? I got an appliance or 2 from them. It's Temperman's Furniture in Windsor. They've been around for a long time, and it's not, it's kind of like family owned. See, and I was going to stop at the Staples on the right, because I'm thinking I probably need another marker if I do some cardboard, and my whiteboard marker is kind of running out of ink. I was gonna stop off at that Staples there, and it was like, no. Okay, I'm gonna be cheap. I'll let it go, and I'll wait till the pain of my using my whiteboard becomes so intense that I'll spend the $2 and get a marker. Okay, and here we are. This is a kind of an overpass over a train track. There's a lot of train tracks in Windsor because it's such an industrial town. Used to be a lot more train tracks, but here we are. We're going over one railway set of tracks there. On the right, hey, that's where you can play the bocce ball over there. And there's also a park over here, Jackson Park. Airplane related stuff. There's a memorial there to the Battle of Britain, and that is where they used to have an old Lancaster bomber on a pedestal there, and that got moved to the Canadian Aviation Museum, where I do a little bit of flying, and they're restoring it. So, and it got replaced by, there's a Spitfire and a Hurricane. It's made out of fiberglass. It's kind of like a replica, and they got those at the Battle of Britain Memorial in Jackson Park. Okay, on the right, that low building, that was, I missed it. Yeah, that's where the AM 580, if you hear me talking about the oldies station, that's where that was. So, back in the day, if you had a record that was made in Detroit, you'd come over and go down the street to AM 580 that we just passed back there, and it was quite common back in the day to go see Steve. You know, people be walking down the street here, and it's like, hey, there's Stevie Wonder driving down the road. Well, actually, he wouldn't be driving, but he'd be in the back seat maybe. But yeah, Gladys Knight, I think that's her. Oh, Aretha Franklin's in the back of that car, and apparently there was quite a lot of sightings, and they'd go promote their records down at the CKWW AM 580. So yeah, we're coming up here. A little bit more to go. A lot of times people will turn right to go to the tunnel to the USA. I think there's a sign that says tunnel to USA. Yeah, right there. And so you go down there for a block, hang a left, and then that'll take you straight into the tunnel that goes underneath. There's a tunnel that goes underneath the river, and it spits you out right by the Renaissance Center in Detroit. So I'll show you in a little bit where what it looks like if you're going to be going to the United States using the tunnel, and you'll see, okay, that's what it looks like. Although I guess you got like Google Street View and stuff, you can do that anyways, and people just follow their GPS, but what the heck, they don't get it. GPS and Google Maps doesn't give you the in-depth discussion that is provided by the superpilotish channel. So on the right, that building that says HMCS Hunter, it's an abandoned building. It used to have the naval reserves. So if you wanted to be in the Navy weekend warriors would go there. And but that kind of closed down, and they actually moved to a new building that's we didn't quite go by it on my West End tour, but it's actually on the Detroit River, so surprise, surprise, people in the Navy sometimes have to be by the water. Pretty good. And so that's where they are. And oh boy, here we go. It's by the time you see this, will I have my camera fixed? It might be cropped out here and rotated and stuff, but this is where I was getting kind of queasy watching it. But hang in there, we're almost done. So we're gonna hang them right. We're gonna go to over here, go to the beer store, pick up something. Nice beverage after a long ride. Well, there's the beer store in downtown Windsor, and a little grocery store on the right there. You can't quite see it, but okay, this is Goyo Avenue, Goyo Street, and yeah, so this is taking you to the tunnel to the US of A, and if you just keep going straight, that'll take you to the tunnel, and you pay your toll, and away you go under the river and to the USA. Last chance for McDonald's on the left there if you need some grease. And yeah, and I haven't taken the tunnel over there recently, but I've heard I guess they don't take cash anymore. I think they just take debit and credit cards. So there we go. Almost done here. Okay, so this is Wyandotte, and we're kind of back almost where I started. I'm gonna hang it right, and we're almost done. So what happens was, after I turned this corner here, I noticed that my shoelace, there's a bum sleeping on the street, good, and yeah, the Chelsea on the right, that's where my buddy Travis's band played, and yeah, so I noticed here, ooh, my shoelace is kind of stuck on my right brake, and it's like, oh, I don't think I managed to get my foot down on this one, so I said, okay, I better pull over up here and get my shoelace, that little loop. And that's one of the things that, get a little reminder, hey, those loops on your shoes can get caught on different pedals and stuff. So here I'm thinking, oh man, we're almost at the end. I'm gonna fix my shoelace, ride home. There was a UPS truck that was coming up fast behind me, so I had to speed up. And okay, now I'm leaning a bit to the left. How's my shoelace? And the shoelace actually came off of the brake pedal. Did I check it out? Yeah. Okay, that's good. And then that's about it. First ride of the season's all done. Shoelace is fixed up. My hightailed it home, and that was the end of that. Hey, there's me in the mirror looking in the back there too. Okay. And can I pull out safely? Yup. See you later.